It was the image that summed up corruption in football. Sepp Blatter, the president of FIFA, world football's governing body, showered in fake money.
Here we go, Sepp. That's Sepp, it's all there.
This was simply a publicity stunt by a British comic. But just a few months later, Blatter was banned from all football activity for 8 years by FIFA, an organisation he had led for 17 years. The ban was later reduced to 6 years. For others, the football corruption scandal had even more far-reaching consequences. On May 27, 2015, just days before a FIFA Congress, Swiss police raided this hotel in Zurich. In all, 14 people, including 7 FIFA officials, were indicted following an investigation by the FBI and the Internal Revenue Service. Richard Frankel is a former special agent in charge of the FBI.
The FBI, Department of Justice, IRS were able to come together and charge and convict people involved in FIFA. This proved that, with the right individuals targeting the organization, you can catch the criminal bad guys.
Those indicted were accused of bribery, theft and money laundering, estimated at $150 million. Michael Hirschman once served on the Senate Watergate Committee and is also a former advisor to FIFA and a member of its Independent Governance Committee. Have we ever seen the scale of this kind of corruption within sport before?
Never. The arrogance in FIFA was extraordinary. Absolutely thought they were above the law. Thought that no one could touch them.
Although the arrests took many by surprise, the FBI and the IRS had been building a case against soccer corruption for years. Ken Bensinger is the author of Red Card, a book that details the corruption scandal.
This investigation began years before anyone in the public knew about this. The whole world knew this was a case in May of 2015. But in fact, the investigation was almost 5 years old by then.
The arrests, coming just days before the FIFA Congress, generated huge media interest.
We don't do those arrests to make a statement. We're happy a statement is made, but that's not the intent. The intent was to get these people and bring them to justice.
FIFA is made up of 6 continental confederations and 211 national associations. The majority of those arrested were based in the Americas. Among those arrested, Jeffrey Webb, the president of CONCACAF, the Confederation of North, Central America and Caribbean Association Football, as well as the head of Brazilian football, Jose Maria Marin. Juan Angel Naput of Paraguay, a FIFA vice president, was arrested at the same hotel in a separate raid 6 months later.
In this case, the FBI went where the evidence led. The evidence led to there. That's who was charged and who's been convicted. It wasn't because of anyone being in a particular place. This is where the evidence takes us.
One of the critical aspects of the case was that many of these acts happened in the U.S. There was conspiracies that took place in Miami and New York and elsewhere. And there was also massive use of the American banking system to commit these crimes and to launder the money through American banks.
The central figure in the corruption scandal was Chuck Blazer, a former general secretary of CONCACAF.
Chuck Blazer provided the keys to the kingdom. He told the FBI how FIFA worked, and again, gave all of how people are paid off, how things happen, how deals are made, how they're cut.
He was the highest ranking ever American soccer official, and he was a member of FIFA's executive committee. But when the doors were closed, he was also skimming millions of dollars from the sport and not reporting that to the tax authorities. And so it turns out he hadn't been paying taxes for years, hadn't even been filing taxes. And ultimately the IRS got wind of this, got their hooks in him, and turned him into a cooperator.
On November the 30th, 2011, the FBI's Jared Randall and Steve Berriman of the IRS approached Blazer at the entrance of his apartment at Trump Tower. He had agreed to be an informant for the FBI and agreed to wear a wire to make secret recordings of FIFA meetings.
I've never heard of an easier person being brought in as a cooperating witness than what happened with Chuck Blazer. Basically, a couple of agents went and met Chuck Blazer outside his residence. They talked to him for about a half an hour, and Chuck Blazer became an informant and cooperating witness at that moment. That normally doesn't happen.
The investigation centered on the alleged bribery, fraud, and money laundering to corrupt the issuing of media marketing rights for FIFA games in the Americas, estimated at $150 million. It also focused on the voting process for FIFA World Cups, whereby 22 FIFA executives were responsible for deciding the fate of the bidding process.
Process became very corrupted because it created a very small list of people who needed to be influenced to win a vote. And the countries bidding for the World Cup had tremendous interest in winning and were willing to put millions of dollars or more into the process.
The system had become so tarnished that it has since been changed to one vote per federation. Of the 22 FIFA Executive Committee members that voted for Russia 2018 and Qatar 2022, more than half have been implicated for wrongdoing.
Is Qatar.
I fully understand the skepticism, and there should be skepticism, because we now know that the people who made the decision were susceptible to outside influence. There's no question about it. But even today, despite the fact that there was a lot of smoke and some allegations, we have seen no hard evidence of a level of bribery that would have affected the vote outcome.
Of those indicted, only 3 cases went to court. The former president of Peru's Soccer Federation, Manuel Berger, was cleared. But Jose Maria Marin, the former president of the Brazilian Confederation, and Juan Angel Naput of Paraguay were both convicted.
They were facing, a conspiracy to commit fraud, and money laundering, and also particularly something called RICO, which is essentially a racketeering charge. So those 2 individuals got it, and I know it was a big affirmation of the case and the theory of the case for the prosecutors. It was the ultimate test for them that what they've been working on for, at that point, more than 7 years, was both accurate and fair and sort of justifiable. So I think it can't be understated how important that verdict was.
Over the last few years, FIFA has attempted to consign the controversies to the past, with a new president, Gianni Infantino, and further steps towards greater transparency.
Well, it did send a strong message, and there has been changes. There are changes in the structure of the compliance within the federations and confederations. But frankly, look, when there's big money to be made, you're going to have people who step out of line. You're going to have continuing corruption. The sport has got to be vigilant going forward to make sure that they discover it first and take action before governmental authorities come back in.
The focus for football now is on matters on the pitch as 32 teams prepare for the Russia World Cup. But it would appear that the corruption scandal is far from over.
As the U.S. Attorney in New York said, when this case was first indicted during the press conference, this is not the end. This is only the beginning. And I think that's still the case. Even though we're now down the road a bit, I believe that this case is still ongoing and that there is a good possibility that further individuals are going to be arrested for corruption.
Football, or soccer, is known as the beautiful game, but off the pitch it has been anything but that in recent years.